Hello people, this is PowerRider here with the review of the Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger 2 Kaiser 2 Kai Narikiri set. So yes, we have another set in front of us, despite the fact that I despise sets. Well, it's because Bandai was too lazy to release a buckle by itself, because they weren't confident. End of story. So, yeah, gosh, I hate this so much. So, yeah, obviously as you can see here, we have two Kaiser, obviously in the middle. Then we have his two forms, the Orin form and the Shinken form. We got a, nice portion, nice display. Gosh, I can't word. Here's the Geardalinger, then the 2 Kai buckle. Then we have the instructions for said 2 Kai buckle. Then the Geardalinger. I apologize if it's too dark. Then we just have the back for everything shown, and we have, 2 Kaiser and the Zenkaigers because I forgot they were from the same series. Bottom. Honestly, this is just hard to cover. Gosh darn it. So here we have the Geardalinger out, and along with the 2 gears. We'll be taking a look at, I think I take a look at this and the gears. I don't remember. I should have quickly looked back, but well. So here's the Geardalinger, and it's pretty interesting. This is actually one of the more harder toys for me to frame, just because of how it's shaped. So it's essentially a giant musket with a pirate wheel. I'm gonna have to actually rarely lift up the tripod, so then we can actually have the full effect, like so. And here we have, just like the Geardalinger, we have a sticker right here with the graphic of the name, which I really do like. And just, I'm already gonna do this already, but just comparing the two, it's just, I really like that they're actually very close. Like, the lids are the same colors of plastic, the reds are very similar, and the Zenkaiger symbol is actually very, prominent. It's obviously, this one is not as colorful because essentially I guess the rainbow color is replaced with just the gold, which is fine. But I just really like how this is technically the first time that we've had like a main team and a 6-member changers actually looking similar. So that makes me happy. And just, it's a pretty interesting design overall. Here's the pirate wheel again. There's a bunch of plastic from just spinning it. This is like, it's stupidly cool. Like, it's the type of like over the top stuff I appreciate. But it's also like, it's a really nice handle too. And obviously if you press this button and flip this over, we get the sword mode, which is interesting. Just because we don't have a sword within this series. And I like how this actually reveals more of the gears, which is pretty neat. This is pretty, like, pliable. And just press this down to, unlock it, just because of the mechanism inside, which you won't be able to see. Other than that, technically, again, just like the Geardalinger, it's actually supposed to go to your right hand, but for the sake of demonstrations, we're mostly gonna just use our left hand and such. So let's cut to the gears. So here's 2 Kaiser's gear, which this one is pretty neat. Technically this is the first gold Sentai gear I'm covering, because obviously I haven't covered any of the Legend Sentai gears yet. But obviously because Tsukaiser is based off Gokaiger, he has 35, to the point it's on his head, which I literally did not know was not present on the other Zenkaigers. But you know, it's neat. I really like this holofoil effect that Tsukaiser has. It's really addicting just to stare at. And obviously he just has the typical Zenkaiger Kikai side, and I forgot this is the hero side. His pegs are the tabs for the Dillinger to read off of. And again, comparing it to Zenkaiser, like, I just like how different they are. Obviously, like, Zenkaiser's more like dotty, while like Tsukaiser's more linear, if you understand what I mean. Or reflective, I guess. Like, I just like how they actually decided to differentiate them. It's really cool. I'm sorry, I'm just constantly going over that. Anyways, here's these other gear that's included. Kikai Riki, who is obviously based off of Orano? No, that doesn't sound right. I want to call it O Blocker. This is one of my favorite mechs, and I can't remember its name. Obviously 19. The back is actually different. The Kikai side of it. Because it's just 2 stars, obviously to mimic the O-Ranger star. And I forgot to state this. This is B26. Tsukaiser is B09. Here are the tabs. I'm really trying to remember its name. I really just want to call it Orano. Because it's not King Oren O. Okay, so the on and off switch of the Geardalinger is surprisingly back here. So just switch that like so. So obviously, as you can tell right away, it's the voice of the Mobiles slash the Ryusoldier equipment that isn't the Musa changer. And obviously this does require 2 AAA batteries. And the battery compartment for this one, like, obviously it's just the cover here, but I think it's really interesting just how it goes on, because there's a lot of space and such. But anyways, we get basic sounds by just pressing the trigger. We get basic firing sounds. However, unlike the Geardalinger, we actually do have a thing we can do before setting gears in, which is by holding the trigger. Which will set this in the standby mode, to which you can let it sit, press the trigger, or move the thing. So, I'm just gonna press it. So it'll just, you know, like, finish that. And if we do move the Geardalinger, because there is a motion sensor around here, so just move it up and down. So we get like 2 sound effect onomatopoeias, I guess. I forgot what onomatopoeia is. So there will be, like, essentially when you move it in the standby phase. Excuse me, there's something just came up in my throat. But there will be like a additional sound. So as you can hear. So that's one. That's the second one. That's the third one. And you can just keep doing this until it stops. as you can hear there, it says perfect because the max that you can move this thing is 10, but I'll get into that when we actually transform, which we should do. So obviously this is sort of the transformation process. You lift up the cover like so, and we insert the gear like so. Close it like that. Now we spin the pirate wheel, which will send us into the standby phase, which I forgot to show in the demo. So here we get the standby for Zenkaiger. Now, at this point, technically in the show, he hits it like a tambourine. You can do that, but technically the easiest way of doing that is just simply moving it up and down. So let's just do it like so. So there is the transformation for Zenkaiger. It's a lot more simplistic than the Geardalinger, which I'm kind of not really too big on. I really just would have liked if they actually just did incorporate the Gokaiger transformation, because it is in the show. The attack sounds are just exactly the same. And the finisher and like the, you know, holding the button down, this is essentially the same thing. Like this thing's counterpart to the Geardalinger, like constantly like rotating the lever. So holding down the trigger, we actually get a new standby. And now at this point, you actually get stuck with two phrases when you move the Geardalinger. As you can see there, I actually moved it up to 6 times. Now if I do it exactly to 10, so yeah, obviously just to show that up to 10 you get perfect. Now to do the finisher, just similar to the Geardalinger, just spin this again. So it'll just keep telling you to spin it. However you press the trigger, you get this sound. So you get like a faulty finisher. So again, we'll just spin it. So obviously we just continue spinning it. I actually like how the turning sound actually overlaps with this. So now all we need to do is just press the trigger. So yeah, that's essentially it for the hero side of Zenkaiger. Like, now if we flip it to the Kikai side, now I need to push this up, spin the pirate. So, with that, you actually summon Crocodile, which is, his main, like, pirate ship thing. And the attacks are still the same, even if I do this. So I'm not gonna bother with that. Watch the demo, it was torturous. So this one actually functions differently because you actually have to keep spinning it to access its different modes. So there you get Cross Kaio. Crawlingo. Essentially, like, Cross Kaio splits into two different vehicles for Riki and Katsuner to ride, and that's it. You don't get a finisher. You just get the operation sound. So that's it for Zenkaiger. Now we try Riki. And I actually forgot to say that Riki, I want to say he is chrome, but I think he's actually like Majin, where he's painted, because he's not as reflective as Zenkaiger nor the next review. So I find it to be interesting, but at least Majin isn't alone at not being fully chrome. That happens too. This is kind of difficult, but anyways, we just spin it like so. So I was in an entire new sound set, or sound standby, and obviously we can hit it to have additional sounds. I apologize for missing a beat. So now we are Zenkaiger Orin form? I haven't watched the show. You actually do get a new attack sound. Essentially, the way I take that is essentially like pushing a pyramid, essentially. Because, obviously, I actually find this to be interesting that with Orin form, they're leaning more heavy on the Egyptian theme than like O-Ranger actually did, which is neat. And I just find it funny that, you know, like, he barely uses this in Orin form, because, you know, he does like fist to fist combat, hand to hand combat. Anyways, just quickly go over this. The whole, I don't know what you call this. So again, new standby, and you get two new phrases. So I'm just gonna do the perfects. I don't want to dive into it too much. And obviously the finisher. Obviously, just keep spinning. So there's the finisher for that. Now to go on the Kikai side. Now this is actually where things are going to be traditional. I'm too lazy to angle it. So there, we actually get the transformation sound for Zenkaiger Riki. That's correct, right? Yeah. Which is pretty neat. Obviously, the attack sounds are the same. However, unlike Zenkaiger, we actually do, again, this is like the Geardalinger, we actually do get a finisher with this. And yeah, so that's it for 2 Kaiser's gears. However, just had to cut that because I was going to run out of duration. However, if we use someone like Zenkaiger, for example, as you can see, it actually it goes into this new standby, which is this is my favorite, and you can hear it actually does announce Zenkaiger, and we actually do get the hitting sounds are the same as 2 Kaiser. So it actually does say like Zenkai Revolution. Sounds are the same. As you can hear there, it says Sentai. And then, finisher. Like, I think you get where this is going. And the Kikai side. So there, it actually does mention Zenkaiger, which is pretty neat. And I'm just not gonna do the finisher. You just watch the demo. But if we use someone other than Zenkaiger, like Jiren, does that happen to anyone else? Is it because I do this too harshly? I don't think I do it too harshly. So we get the same cool standby, however, instead of saying Zenkaiger, it says Sentaiger. And again, all these are the same. Obviously, if you want to try hitting this, you just have to apply enough pressure. Which, that didn't work. I apologize for everything that's happening. So essentially, this has the same sound sets as Zenkaiger. It's just that instead of Zenkaiger, it just says it replaces Zenkai, Sentai, Zenkai, Zenkaiger with Sentaiger and Zenkai. Even the hold attack is the same. It still says Sentai, obviously. So that's still the same, and then the finisher. So, the Kikai side. Like, I'm still kind of conflicted on whether it's saying Sentai or Senpai. I want to say Senpai, but then I don't know. I think most things are saying it's Sentai. But yeah. So I'm just gonna say this right now. All the other Zenkaigers do the same thing, so I'm not gonna bother showing them. I don't even do it in the demo and temperature. So now with the Geardalinger, to Kaiser. So interestingly there, obviously it doesn't say Sanju Goban, it says Shinban. Obviously because 2 Kaiser isn't exactly programmed into here, he's just categorized as a new hero, which is fine. And then he gets that sound. He gets the typical, or the generic, rotating sound. Oops. Man, I don't know if I should really keep doing that for the reviews, but... Now the Kikai side. So obviously it's the same typical stuff. I'm just gonna, because obviously, just gonna jump to the finisher. And then, Riki. So interestingly enough, because, interestingly, Riki actually uses the same pin set as O-Ranger, as evident by just the fact that it said O-Ranger, and just by, like, going, you know, having that. So I'm actually not going to cover the full sounds of this, obviously, until we actually cover the proper O-Ranger gear. But, you know, it at least gives us a DX version of it. It's just not, you know, exactly what it is. So overall, I really like the Geardalinger. I'm sorry I'm not like pronouncing them differently. But I really like how this one essentially has the same like functions as the Geardalinger, but just does them differently enough that, you know, it's unique. Like, yeah, I can definitely see people not being too fond of the obnoxious pirate wheel, but I think that's what makes it just hysterical overall. And I really do like, obviously just because of how it has to work, that this does have a pin reader of some sorts, but it's not as like extensive or excessive as like the Geardalinger. I'm gonna say it's essentially kind of like how Ruse Soldier handled, like the Russo changer. I want to say how it's like how the Russo changer handled like auxiliary Russos, where it just generic sizes them. It's sad. That's sadly the case with the majority of the Sentai gears, is that they kind of get categorized under the Zenkaiger category and just not get like read off individually. I don't mind the fact that they're like, I don't mind like everything else being genericized. I know I'm making up that word, but like I kind of wish it was just kind of like Zenkaiser, where like I would have just at least appreciated, because you have the voice actor that has done the Mobiritz. Like you got Sekitomo Kazuya. Like you got him back for this toy. It wouldn't have hurt if you just got him to re-announce all the names of the Sentais. Like I know, like, cause yes, you can just take the sound. You can just literally like edit in the Mobiritz sounds to this, but it's just not the same effect. And honestly, it's just like it really does. Like it is kind of wasted that they didn't really bother to like get him to announce anything other than O-Ranger and Shinkenger. Like they couldn't even get him to say Gokaiger or Ruse Soldier. Yeah, like I find that to be kind of baffling. Or like, you know, again, like was said, it even sucks that the Zenkaigers, the other four Kikainoids, don't are not even categorized under their own category. They're just thrown into the Sentaiger category. So it just really sucks that like Zenkaiser is really the only like he's the only one that technically has his own sound set. But he's essentially what I think how they should have handled the other teams. I would have just like to summarize, I would have just like I'm fine with everything else. I would have just liked the name announcement. I think that's good enough for me. And for the other Kikainoids, just to say Zenkaiger. just so then they don't get genericized. Other than that, like I wouldn't necessarily like obviously it's not as necessary because obviously you can just pick these gears up via Gashapon Kane toy. And obviously you kind of don't really need Riki because he is just another O-Ranger. But obviously like it really is your choice. But like I like it overall. It's fun. Yeah, it sucks it can't read the gears. Like it can't excessively read the gears. But I'm like I guess I'm just glad it has a reader of some sorts. And I guess also I'm more forgiving about the fact that it doesn't really read the gears just because I absolutely love the generic standby. So yeah, that's it for this review. It's way too long. This is probably going to be nearly 30 minutes. This is PowerRider, and I'll leave people. Bye.